I believe that concludes our committee work. At this point, having concluded our committee work, we just took a break. I would like to virtually convene the Board of Trustees plenary session and ask the meeting to please come to order. Trustees, if your audio is on mute, please unmute your audio so that we can hear you when we do the roll call. And with that, Ms. Kiss, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair Day. Trustee Abrego.
Here.
Trustee Adamson.
Here.
Trustee Carney. Chair Day.
Here.
Trustee Eisen.
Here.
Trustee Fagan.
Here.
Trustee Farrar.
Here.
Trustee Furstenberg.
Here.
Trustee Fong.
Here.
Trustee Garcia.
Here.
Trustee Kames.
Here.
Trustee Kimbell.
Here.
Trustee Krinsk. Lieutenant Governor Kounalakis.
Here.
Trustee McGrory. Trustee Morales.
Here.
Governor Newsom, Speaker Rundon, Trustee Sebelius.
Here.
Trustee Simon.
Here.
Trustee Steinhauser, Trustee Taylor.
Here.
Superintendent Thurman, and Chancellor White.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Chair Day. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Kiss. Before I begin, I'd like to offer heartfelt thanks to student trustee Juan Garcia, who is closing out 2 years of dedicated service with us today. Throughout his tenure, Juan has remained a steadfast advocate for the diverse concerns of our entire student body, always ensuring that their voices are well represented during key deliberations. Juan is graduating from Cal Poly Pomona this spring with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science. I am sure that he, like the rest of our 2020 graduates, had anticipated celebrating this milestone in life's journey by walking the stage in cap and gown before family and friends, accepting the degree that he has worked so hard to earn, probably pumping his fist in a moment of triumph. To Juan and his fellow members of the class of 2020, I know that the COVID-19 crisis has disrupted much of your lives over the past months, but the uncertainties surrounding your commencement plans must be especially difficult. As our campuses explore appropriate ways to honor your remarkable achievements while prioritizing health and safety, I ask for your continued patience and understanding. We must do this right for everybody. To all of our graduates, congratulations on the degree you have worked so diligently to attain. This crisis does not detract from the magnitude of your accomplishment. And Juan, in this, your final meeting as a student trustee, I know I speak for the entire board when I say we are grateful for your commitment to the CSU and your fellow students. We all wish you the very best going forward. You have been an incredible representative of the student body. Today marks a milestone for me as well. My final meeting as your chair. On this occasion, I would like to quickly reflect on 3 overriding goals I set forth at the beginning of my tenure. The first was to reiterate my remarks during each meeting, the core mission, vision, and values of the greatest agent of socioeconomic ascent in the world, the California State University. And if I could capture all that the CSU stands for in just 2 words, it would be inclusive excellence. Inclusive in that the CSU continually strives to reflect California's rich cultural diversity in the ranks of our leadership, faculty, staff, and most important, our students. And excellence in the services we provide, the education we deliver, and the graduates we produce to power the future of our great state. Actions do, in fact, speak louder than words. And although there is always more to do, I am immensely proud of our collective accomplishments. My second goal was to highlight the importance of providing the CSU community with access to robust mental and behavioral health services. And I believe we have made remarkable progress in this area as well. Last April, we hosted the first ever CSU campus and county mental health statewide convening, connecting students, faculty, and staff with comprehensive mental health services and resources, both on and off campus. And this February, our Intersegmental Basic Needs Summit addressed mental health as well as housing and food insecurity across the CSU, the University of California, and California's community colleges. While we've seen the stigma of mental illness diminish over time, we've also seen demand for services rise. COVID-19 has only increased this demand, creating or exacerbating feelings of loneliness, disconnection, and anxiety. True to form, our campuses have shown bold leadership in meeting these challenges by providing students, faculty, and staff with virtual outreach and access to critical wellness resources. On a system-wide level, the CSU has launched a 2-year pilot program with Grit Digital Health. The project provides an app to students at 12 campuses to supplement in-person services. You at College connects users with mental health and wellness resources, created and vetted by behavioral health experts, as well as academic support tools. It is just one of many examples of the CSU meshing technology with ingenuity to meet a pressing need at a critical juncture. My third goal was to share campus stories of achievement, discovery, victory, and success. Indeed, there is no shortage of such stories during the current public health crisis. At Sacramento State, gerontology students are reaching out to isolated seniors to provide hope, help, and someone to talk to as part of Governor Newsom's Stay Home, Save Lives, Check-In initiative. Nursing and physician assistant students from Channel Islands, Monterey Bay, Fullerton, San Bernardino, and Sonoma State are volunteering to support frontline healthcare providers. And more than half of the CSU's 23 campuses are using and refining 3D printing processes to produce face shields while creating and donating other personal protective equipment for medical teams and first responders. Our faculty, staff, and students have stepped forward in remarkable ways during this time of challenge, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. I know that the next board chair will continue to amplify the vision of the CSU, as well as the inspiring stories that bring this vision to life. And I congratulate Lily and Wenda on your elections, or upcoming elections. And with that, I suppose it's time to wrap up, but I can't close without expressing my sincere gratitude to my fellow trustees for their enduring commitment to this university and for the confidence you placed in me to serve as your chair. Together, I emphasize, over the last 2 short years, we have tackled some of California's most pressing issues with diligence and resolve. We have worked collaboratively with mutual respect and collegiality. A very high bar was set 3 years ago when the Board of Trustees received the prestigious John W. Nason Award for Board Leadership from the Association of Governing Boards of Universities and Colleges. I would like to think that together, we have continued to live up to that honor. On a personal note, I came out of my comfort zone and began a CSU Chair's Twitter account to personalize and highlight all the good that occurs throughout our 23 campuses and with our millions of alumni each and every day. I actually had no idea how rewarding it would be, and I certainly never thought that 4,000 strangers would want to follow me. So Lily, I hope you can beat that record. From my seat as chair, I set out to be an active listener, to champion problem solving through teamwork, and to delegate important responsibilities to committee chairs and vice chairs. I hope I have been responsive to each of you individually and to the needs of the board. I promise to respect and honor the work of our staff, to not micromanage, to stay focused on policy and the big picture, and to add strategic value. I hope I have served you well, my colleagues, and the entire CSU system, both professionally and honorably. Together, again, emphasizing together, we have tackled significant challenges. We have demonstrated sound financial management, using one-time resources for one-time needs, maintaining prudent reserves, and leveraging new strategies to grow discretionary revenue. We have achieved modest growth in enrollment with no increases in tuition. We have made huge headway on our deferred maintenance list to maintain safe, modern, and functional facilities. And we have remained true to our vision of Graduation Initiative 2025, working to close equity gaps while transparently and collaboratively debating complex issues such as quantitative reasoning, general education requirements, student preparedness, and pathways for success. In sum, I believe we have fulfilled our promise to California, an affordable access to a high-quality degree. None of this would have been possible if not for the tireless work of each and every one of you, my colleagues. Your insight, compassion, and dedication have meant so much to me personally and have made the university better for those we place at the center of all of our decisions, the students. I know this board will continue to bring discipline and best practices to bear as our university confronts COVID-19 and the myriad intertwined challenges and impacts the pandemic has visited upon us. I also want to emphasize my utmost respect for and thanks to all of our campus presidents, each one a champion of inclusivity, equity, and student success for their respective campus community. It has been a true professional blessing to have had the opportunity to work side by side with each of you. In addition, I would like to highlight the presidents who retired during my tenure, ending distinguished careers dedicated to building California's brightest future. Willie Hagan at CSU Dominguez Hills, Horace Mitchell at CSU Bakersfield, Karen Haynes at CSU San Marcos, Lisa Rossberger at Humboldt State, and Les Wong at San Francisco State. Two more presidents would have been included here had it not been for the COVID-19 crisis. Leroy Marishta at Cal State East Bay, and Diane Harrison at Cal State Northridge. You both have my eternal gratitude for staying on to provide the leadership and institutional knowledge to see your students and campus communities through the pandemic. Finally, I would like to thank Chancellor White for all he has done for this university and for his decision to delay his retirement to lead the CSU through these trying times. Tim, you are the rock upon which we can always rely and the voice of reason that guides us when we need it the most. Asking the key question at just the right moment and eliciting the answer we most need to hear. You have become a very dear friend, as you know, and it has been my honor and the honor of the highlight of my professional career to be associated with you, your kindness and your wisdom. My experience is not dissimilar to a master's class in management, ethics, business, and leadership all rolled into one, delivered by the true higher education master. Thank you, Tim, and you have my personal eternal gratitude and respect. To everyone here, thank you for all that you do for the CSU. It has been my distinct honor to serve as your chair. And now I'd like to hand it over to Chancellor White for his report.
Bravo. Bravo.
Well done, Adam.
Well, Adam, thank you for those kind comments. I'll come back and say a few things in a moment about you, but listening to that list of presidents, you were pretty tough on the presidents during your couple of years. Just teasing you. I thank you, Chair Day, and I do want to begin my report with a bit of more than welcome good news. Today, Cal State Monterey Bay announced that it has received a commitment for the largest philanthropic gift in the campus's 25-year history. Donor Robert Darwin's remarkable generosity will fund annual scholarships to Monterey Bay students from low-income and impoverished families. He has asked that the dollar amount of this transformative gift not be shared publicly at this time. A businessman, a former actor and screenwriter, and a 50-year resident of the Monterey Peninsula, Robert was inspired by his longtime employee, Polly De Leon, an undocumented worker from Mexico who dreamed of becoming a U.S. citizen, raising a family, and sending her children to college. She ultimately achieved those goals. In fact, her oldest daughter, Blanca, is now an attorney specializing in immigration law. Says Robert, quote, "If my money can help one more kid earn the same kind of success in life that Polly achieved for her children, that will be my reward." In essence, Polly's determination was my inspiration. So congratulations to President Ochoa for developing this relationship. And on behalf of the entire CSU, thank you, Robert, and thank you, Polly. Earlier today, I discussed the unique planning moment we find ourselves in as we analyze possible scenarios for the upcoming academic year in the midst of multiple uncertainties. Primarily virtual learning with limited exceptions for in-person classes, classroom experiences, laboratories, and for research with our undergraduate, graduate students and faculty. Those sorts of things that cannot be held virtually and that are indispensable to our academic mission, and it can be conducted pursuant to the strictest standards of health and safety. In the course of these planning discussions, I have been asked by more than one colleague, what does this all mean for our signature Graduation Initiative 2025 goals? I wish to take this opportunity to answer that question. Graduation Initiative 2025 remains our foremost academic priority and our guiding beacon. There is no denying we face significant headwinds. This is a public health crisis, as we know, of historic proportions. We are and will continue to be tested as we've never been tested before. But any additional challenge we may face is eclipsed by the ever-increasing imperative that we succeed. Graduating more students more quickly with a high-quality degree is essential. It's essential to our students for whom a college degree has never been more important. It's essential to our role as a vital building block for California's post-COVID-19 economy, society, and environment. And we know that the public health emergencies, especially those of this magnitude, can have disparate negative impacts on under-resourced populations, exacerbating institutional and societal inequities. We are therefore compelled to redouble our efforts to find curricular and co-curricular solutions to reduce equity gaps in all their dimensions. Through the next several months, we will continue to carefully analyze the data, determine what, if any, impact our transition to virtual learning and virtual student support and academic support services has had on learning and persistence outcomes, and we will make any necessary adjustments. While we have postponed this fall's GI 2025 symposium until April 22nd and 23rd of the next calendar year, we will be convening virtually this fall once the 2019-20 graduation rate and persistence data have been finalized. I encourage all of you to join us at that time, and we'll share details about the event as they become available. In closing, I wish to acknowledge that this is the last board meeting for a number of valued Cal State leaders who have served this university well, including student trustee Juan Garcia and Vice Chancellor and Chief Audit Officer Larry Mandel, who has the audacity to leave us after just 52 years of service on the job. Juan and Larry, well, I thank you for your service, and I echo Chair Day in congratulating Juan on his graduation from Cal Poly Pomona. We would like to bring you back for one more meeting in July. Hopefully at that time, we will be able to properly and safely thank you in person for your service to the university back in the Dumke. I also seek to acknowledge Michael Wiafi, who will be delivering his last report as president of the Cal State Student Association. I shared with Michael that I have come to consider him as something of a kindred spirit. Although separated in time by more than a few decades, Our stories parallel one another's closely. The facts may be different, but the stories are the same. Michael has served the CSSA with distinction, utterly committed to the CSU student learning experience. He's also a man to speak his mind, but always with the mission, values, and goals of the university at heart. I wish you all the best in your graduate studies at Berkeley, Michael, and in a few years as governor of WIAFI. I hope that you will look back fondly upon your time at the CSU when you propose your first budget. It is also Professor Nelson's final meeting as chair of the CSU's Academic Senate, after serving 2 terms in that role. I have valued her input both on matters of agreement and on issues on which we've held differing opinions. I appreciate your leadership and your candor, and I thank you, as well as the Senate and the CSU faculty writ large, for your creativity, ingenuity, adaptability, and willingness to swiftly pivot to virtual learning so that we could maintain our students' academic continuity and progress to degree, despite these unprecedented challenges that the COVID-19 pandemic has placed before us. And finally, Chair Day. Adam, it's difficult to know where to begin. From the first days of your tenure, you have made yourself available to connect with me frequently and often on short notice, despite having an extremely demanding full-time job. Your adroit and graceful management of these 2 challenging roles has been simply remarkable. Our communication has always been marked by 100% candor through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I think it has served us, and more importantly, served the California State University well. Adam has been a consistent and principled leader of this board. As chair, he's helped us navigate controversy and many difficult decisions. And not all decisions were universally popular, but they were always carefully managed and thoughtfully considered. While Adam may be proud of his stunning and lightning-fast transformation from social media neophyte to Twitter wizard, we will remember him most for his steadfast dedication to student well-being, particularly mental health. Last year's convening, a product of Adam's vision, as you know, brought together campus-based mental health providers with behavioral health professions from across the state, and partnerships were formed that will benefit Cal State students for many years to come. His has been a total commitment to the CSU mission, coupled with a keen awareness of the lived realities of our students, and it has produced a legacy to which any chair would aspire. Thank you, Adam. And to Lily Kimbell, I will give you a more proper welcome in your first meeting as chair, but I want you to know I look forward to working with such a capable leader as we continue to navigate this momentous period in time. So tie your shoes tightly, because it promises to be quite a ride. Chair Day, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chancellor White, and thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that. We'd now like to have the report of the Academic Senate, the CSU, Dr. Catherine Nelson.
Quite a ride indeed, Chancellor White. Thank you, Chair Day. The Academic Senate CSU held its May 2020 committee and plenary meetings over the course of 3 days last week. This was our second all-virtual plenary and our first time holding elections for officers in a virtual setting. My thanks to the executive and extended executive committees for making the meetings a success. Related to the COVID-19 emergency, we passed a resolution that commends the extraordinary resilience demonstrated by students, faculty, staff, and administrators of the CSU system during the global pandemic. Another resolution encourages campus senates, in concert with campus faculty development centers, to immediately initiate surveys to assess the required training and resources to support alternative delivery of the curriculum in academic year 2020-21, and to advocate for adequate funding to support the development and training needs associated with the shift to alternative modalities. Another resolution requests that the CSU acknowledge instructional faculty and counselor faculty as critical components of a holistic and humane educational environment, and ask the CSU to create a task force to develop specific actions that would enable the provision of such an environment for our students. Specific resolutions directed towards student success include a resolution that complements the current quantitative reasoning proposal before the board, in that it calls for targeted advising in the high school junior year to strongly encourage all students to take a course in their senior year that reinforces quantitative reasoning skills, which can significantly enhance the college and career academic preparation and success of high school students. Another resolution encourages campuses to award students who complete well-developed model curricula programs in physics and chemistry the same admissions advantage that is allowed for students completing transfer model curricula. We also passed a resolution that reaffirms the role of the ASCSU in establishing curriculum and graduation requirements as identified in the Higher Education Employee-Employer Relations Act, and a resolution that notes the core role of disciplinary expertise in faculty purview over the curriculum and encourages the Chancellor's Office through the ASCSU as the official voice of the faculty in system-wide matters to utilize and defer to faculty disciplinary expertise and counsels in curricular and other matters relating to the academic mission of the university. We also passed a resolution in opposition to AB 1930 by Assemblymember Medina that would restrict the flexibility of the Board of Trustees to set admission policy for the CSU, and a resolution that supports faculty usage of the Open Researcher and Contributor ID or ORCID program. We also approved a resolution opposing recent federal Department of Education changes to Title IX related to sexual misconduct. Before I conclude, I would briefly like to address the Chancellor's Office proposal for an Ethnic Studies and Social Justice undergraduate GE requirement. The ASCSU did not take a position on the proposal. We do wish to reaffirm our recommendation for a system-wide ethnic studies requirement included in our January AS 3403 and March AS 3420 resolutions. I would like to emphasize that our recommendation includes both lower and upper division components, allows campuses to use a course overlay, and incorporates the experiences of additionally historic oppressed groups as part of the requirement, but not to the exclusion of the core features of the ethnic studies discipline. If one looks at the agenda narrative closely, one can see the outline of the executive order to follow approval of the Title V language. In that context, elements of the Chancellor's Office proposal that are worthy of reconsideration include the title, which when combined with the agenda narrative could mean that either ethnic studies or social justice courses could meet the requirement, rather than the necessity that both elements be included in such courses and the ethnic studies focus of the requirement be retained. Next, the absence of a course overlay option, which would allow double counting where students can meet two requirements with the same course. This would allow, for example, a course in any area of GE to satisfy the requirement rather than only a single course in Area D. Next, the lack of an upper division reflective component, which is intended to deepen and broaden students' exposure to the discipline and the structural nature of hierarchy and oppression in the world in which they live. Next, the lack of a commitment to system-wide learning objectives, which increases the possibility that campus learning outcomes will vary so greatly that not all students will have the same foundational experience in ethnic studies. And finally, a minimum 3-unit semester requirement, which would allow for existing campus requirements that exceed the hard 3-unit ethnic studies requirement in the Chancellor's Office proposal to continue their ethnic studies requirements as is. Should Title V language regarding a requirement be adopted by the board, significant consultation is needed to address these and other issues. I've been listening to your discussion and will refer your questions to our new leadership for more in-depth answers. I would like to point out, in terms of consultation with the Ethnic Studies Council, that we do have a consultation timeline which provided the council with quite a few actually, opportunities for feedback on our progress. I would like to thank, as our Chancellor's Office colleagues have done, Assemblymember Weber, writing what in my report is called the push, but I think she called it in one of the legislative hearings, kicking the door down, that we all needed to address a system-wide ethnic studies requirement. There are racialized structural systems of hierarchy and oppression in our culture and institutions. The CSU is no exception. As much as we think we have done to address the issue in our own house, there is much more to do. As the Board of Trustees, you all have a choice to make. Do nothing or table this item, and if not this summer, then eventually you will again see legislation and the legislature inserting itself into our curriculum. That is the external path. The internal path is for you to adopt Title V language for an ethnic studies graduation requirement for the CSU. We believe the ASCSU recommendation provides the best framework for that requirement. But it's time the CSU officially reflect in its curriculum the challenges posed by the structural realities of our society institutions, and at the same time celebrate the depth, complexity, and promise of the state and students we all serve. Finally, I am extremely pleased to report, if you haven't heard already, the election of new ASCSU officers for the 2020-21 year. Chair, Rob Collins, San Francisco State University. Vice Chair Darlene Yee Mellicar, San Francisco State University. You got to wonder what San Francisco State's going on, you know. Secretary Beth Steffel, CSU San Bernardino, and members at large, Dave Speak, Cal Poly Pomona, and Nola Butler Bird, San Diego State University. And with that, colleagues, it is with some glee, some nostalgia, but I think mostly glee, that I finished my last report to the board as chair of the Academic Senate CSU. It has been a privilege to work with you, the statewide Academic Senate, and all our partners as we deliver the academic mission of the largest public institution of higher education in the country. Thank you, Chair Day. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. On behalf of the board, thank you for your service as chair of the Academic Senate and for the phenomenal job that you have done this past 2 years. With that, we'll move to the report of the CSSA. President Michael Wiaffi.
Thank you, Chair Day. Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, campus presidents, CSU stakeholders, and partners for tuning in today. And of course, you as well, Chancellor White. Thank you for your kind words. It has been my utmost honor to serve the students of the CSU and share our voice in the shared mission of the institution. As well as you, Chair Day, congratulations on a successful term, and thank you for your support and service to CSU and its students. I'll be nice in the budget when the time comes, and thank you all for the confidence. This is a bittersweet moment for me. It's my last report to this group as president of CSSA. And I'll warn you now that it will be a little bit longer than usual, as I do plan on introducing our new leadership, and we'll provide some awards, as well as some updates as some of our actions and some organizational transition. And finally, I will leave you all some thoughts about moving forward during these continuously uncertain times. The new reality is now starting to set in, as most CSU students are now in finals week, navigating maybe the most widespread non-traditional course completion format than we have ever seen. It has served as a bright spot to see financial support from the nation and the institution in the form of the CARES Act and CSU CARES program to specifically go to students to offset some of the unplanned costs associated with the pandemic. Additionally, I want to thank Chancellor White and the UC for committing to support students who were left out of the federal legislation. Although helpful, some students are still in dire need of resources, and we as a community should continue to look for solutions, even amid this pessimistic state financial outlook. It's also important to maintain the current sentiments that I heard earlier on today. Tuition should be the final option, if an option at all. We're excited to see our sponsored legislation, AB 2972 by Assemblymember Limon, move forward at a time when most other bills are not being held. Given the anticipated Supreme Court decision on DACA, now more than ever, this legislation is needed to ensure that CSU administrators are best equipped to support our DACA and undocumented community. This legislation will take some of the great training that's been being done across our campuses and make it accessible to the entire CSU, especially as there is not a system-wide mandated undocu ally training available. We appreciate hearing that the institution aims to get to a support position and look forward to advocating together on behalf of it. At our most recent, like you all, virtual plenary meetings, we passed resolutions regarding menstrual hygiene for students in the CSU, as well as mandatory anti-bias trainings, and a resolution supporting students who are left out of the federal stimulus package. We appreciate the continued engagement with the Chancellor's Office regarding changes as they happen, and I want to encourage that campuses, system-wide, that student voice continues to be valued. It is included in critical decisions that are being made on a day-to-day basis, and that such decisions, as they impact students, be communicated in a timely manner with the transparency I know will make a difference. As the uncertainty of the fall semester starts to loom, difficult decisions are now being made. Do we sign on to this lease? How much should I pack to bring home? Should I work to keep my family afloat? Or should I continue to get the education I so desperately need? The CSU is committed to ensuring that students academically have a path forward to the completion of their degree in the most timely manner possible. Thank you, Chancellor, for reiterating that point. However, forces external to the institution do not have that same commitment. To ensure a path forward, students and their families are now grappling with decisions about their future. Before I discuss more about the future, I want to take some time for the annual acknowledgements and awards from CSSA to the CSU community. The recipients will be recognized now, and in the interest of time, we'll hope to have a more formal conferring of awards in person at the next opportunity. First, for her service to the students of the Central Valley for over 30 years, most recently to CSU Bakersfield. The CSSA President of the Year goes to President Lynette Zalesny of Cal State Bakersfield. Congratulations. Next, for his dedication for innovating to create more pathways to student success, including students in on the conversation, constantly being open to new ideas, valuing the student narrative, the CSSA Administrator of the Year goes to Assistant Vice Chancellor Jeff Gold. For his leadership on finding pathways for students to have access to extremely affordable textbook options in order to mitigate some of the costs of education, in which they've already developed 2 zero-cost majors at Cal State Channel Islands. The Faculty Innovation Award goes to Dr. J. Jacob Jenkins at CSU Channel Islands for the Open CI initiative. For his service to students inside and outside the classroom, the Faculty Excellence Award goes to Political Science faculty, Dr. Mario Guerrero at Cal Poly Pomona. The one I know you all trustees have been waiting for her warm and welcoming conversations with students and on her campus visits, including the careful consideration in listening to student concerns and stories, in addition to her dedication to visiting campuses to get a full picture of the CSU and its 500,000 students. It is my honor to recognize Trustee of the Year, new Vice Chair, Trustee Wenda Fong. Congratulations. I also have to mention our outgoing student trustee, Juan F. Garcia, my partner in crime in some of the most difficult conversations ever. Juan, for the past 2 years, has served as an extremely dedicated leader that has served our voice on the board and has been put in some of the most toughest situations that a student leader could ever be placed in. Has served on multiple president search committees, as well as the most recent search for the 8th chancellor of the CSU. Juan, congratulations on your term. I can't wait to see what you accomplished in the future, and I can't wait to hear where you decide to go to law school. Finally, for special mentions, I want to acknowledge all students, faculty, staff, and administrators in the system for persevering during this time. Your effort is appreciated and does not go unnoticed. As students move on to graduate, student body government organizations across the system are also now going through a time of transition, as are we at CSSA. I want to thank Ray Murillo for supporting the organization operationally during the time of transition. At the last meeting, I had the chance to introduce our executive director to you all, and I now have the honor of introducing the new executive board for the 2020-2021 school year. The current chair of CSSA and my right-hand woman, incoming president from CSUN, Zara Karebe. Also incoming from CSUN, finishing her term as the Associate Student President, the incoming chair is Diana Vicente. Finishing her term as Chief Governmental Officer at Associated Students at Cal State Long Beach, Catherine Pham is the incoming Vice President of Finance. Alyssa Lee is incoming Vice President of Legislative Affairs from Sacramento State and is currently finishing her position as the Associated Students CSSA Liaison. Last, but certainly not least, finishing her term as Vice President of External Affairs for Associated Students at San Francisco State, incoming Vice President of System-Wide Affairs, Alondra Garcia. This all-women team has already inspired me, and I already know that they're going to serve students phenomenally in the new school year. I want to congratulate all the new student leaders that have also been elected across the system. You have quite the year ahead of you. As we now have student leadership taking their seats across the system, we're also looking forward to new state-appointed student leadership. Any day now, the governor's office will announce the new student from the CSU who will join you all on the Board of Trustees. And currently, CSSA is in the process of nominating students to the governor for the selection for the next student to sit on the California Student Aid Commission. Hopefully, names will be announced soon. Again, congratulations, Chair Adam Day, on a successful and amazing term as chair of the board. Congratulations, incoming chair, Trustee Campbell, and Vice Chair, Trustee Fong, in your new roles as leaders, and I know you both will be incredible. And now let me articulate just for a second how it feels to be a graduating senior during this time. It feels somewhat as if the culmination of our years of hard work, dedication, and perseverance have resulted in a degree, yes, but in no way to celebrate it. As if you're in the middle of your favorite part of your favorite movie, and all of a sudden it skips to the end credits. As families and graduates across the CSU reconcile the necessary changes that were made in order to keep our community safe, We're now entering one of the most difficult economies possible as new graduates. However, do not get me wrong, we're still extremely excited to be done. While this has been a challenging time, I cannot help but have a sense of hope and optimism for the future. Some have reconnected with family, have gotten back to the simple joys of life, and have returned to hobbies long forgotten. I, for one, for the first time since high school, picked up a book for fun. President Barack Obama's Dreams for My Father, in which he states, I could feel it growing stronger, sturdier, that constant, honest portion of myself, a bridge between my future and my past. Trustees, in this moment in time, how are you going to build a bridge between the future of the CSU and its past? I want to thank President Castro for reminding some of us that although there will be no return to normalcy, that we should have optimism for the future, as this is a chance to reimagine and reinvent higher education for the better. What we used to know and what has yet to be created. There needs to be a bridge between the two. This time could be used to plan for more efficient and effective use of resources. The realization of what student services could be done through distance, which are done better in person, more effective ways for widespread communication, and what compassionate and common sense measures need to be put in place. Although difficult, we have a once in a generational opportunity to make the critical changes that have needed to happen and ultimately lead to increased success in the future of the CSU. I have the utmost confidence in the current and future leadership of students, faculty, staff, and administration that the CSU will persist and will be better than ever before. Thank you for your time and dedication, CSU community. And for the final time, thank you, Chair Day. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Michael. And on behalf of the full board, congratulations on a successful term as CSSA president, and also more importantly, congratulations on your graduation. And I'm sure that's not the last we are going to see of you. And finally, we will move to the report of the CSU Alumni Council, given by Michelle Power, President.
Thank you, Chairman Day, and good luck on your endeavors, Michael. I know today has been a challenging day of news about the future challenges the CSU, our state, and the world will face. We've also heard some remarkable stories of how our faculty and staff have performed Herculean tasks to keep providing our students access to classes and critical support services. I'd like to submit that this is all good news. The stories of the people who are hard at work ensuring California's success is just the tip of the iceberg. I know this because for decades, the CSU has produced the people that are the engine of California, and there are 3.8 million of them around the world today. Ted Ross, a CSU Dominguez Hills alumna, is keeping the workforce for the city of LA running. He's the city's CIO and helped LA go from 12 teleworking employees to 12,000 in less than 2 weeks, a task that CSU leadership is all too familiar with. Raul Figueroa Valenzuela has master's degrees from San Francisco State and CSUN and is an epidemiology analyst, a critical function now as we work to be able to trace infections throughout the population post-quarantine. Countless CSU alumni-owned businesses have shifted to producing critical supplies like hand sanitizer and face shields, while others like Cal State East Bay's James Monroe Iglehart, who played Genie in the Broadway production of Aladdin, entertained us during the wildly popular Disney sing-along broadcast. The CSU Alumni Council is also looking to the future and the ways alumni can assist to reduce the predicted enrollment drops by serving as support and encouragement for students to persist to degree. We are also working to continue to tell the story of the value of a college degree. To that end, the 2020 version of the Made in CSU project has launched, featuring dozens of new alumni who are leaders in their field. From the deputy chief scientist at NASA to leaders of the sustainability movement, the Made in the CSU website has hundreds of profiles of our graduates who literally keep the world spinning. I encourage you to browse through the profiles at calstate.edu/alumni/Made in the CSU. Chairman Day, I would like to thank you for your service as chairman of the board for the last 2 years. What you've given this university is truly remarkable. Thank you. And Vice Chair Kimball, I genuinely look forward to working more closely with you as you take your position as chair. And thank you, Chairman Day. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Assistant Alumni Council. We are through with our reports, and it's now time for the board to consider our consent agenda. All committee items requiring full board approval are listed on the consent agenda. Trustees, at this time, please ensure that your audio is on unmute so that you can have your vote recorded with the roll call vote. Is there any item on the consent agenda that any trustee would like to have removed? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda? Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda? Seeing none, Ms. Kiss, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair Day. Trustee Abrego?
Aye.
Trustee Adamson?
Aye.
Trustee Carney? Chair Day?
Aye.
Trustee Eisen?
Yes.
Trustee Fagan?
Yes.
Trustee Farrar?
Yes.
Trustee Furstenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Fong?
Aye.
Trustee Garcia?
Yes.
Trustee Kimbell?
Yes.
Trustee Kames?
Aye.
Trustee Krinsk?
Yes.
Lieutenant Governor Kunalakis? Trustee McGrory?
Yes. Aye.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Governor Newsom, Speaker Rundon, Trustee Sebelius?
Yes.
Trustee Simon?
Yes.
Trustee Steinhauser? Trustee Taylor?
Aye.
Superintendent Thurman and Chancellor White?
Yes.
The consent agenda is approved.
Thank you, Ms. Kiss. Again, I would like to now formally and officially congratulate Trustee Kimbell and Trustee Fong on your elections as our next chair and vice chair of the board. I am highly confident and very excited for both of you and for our board and our system with your new roles in service to the CSU. Because of the full agenda, and that concludes our agenda of work for the day, but because of our full agenda and the press of important business today, and given the lateness of the hour, in consultation with our board secretary and chancellor, I've decided it is best to postpone the reviews of our two presidents scheduled to take place in closed session later today. I regret the need to reschedule, but we want to give these presidents our full and fresh attention, and they deserve nothing less. Therefore, we will notice a special closed session meeting of the Board of Trustees on a date to be selected sometime in the next few weeks to be conducted virtually via Zoom. Again, this will be a closed session Zoom meeting for the closed session review. I appreciate everyone's patience and cooperation. Notice of that meeting will go out in the due course before the July meeting through our trustee secretariat. And with that, before I adjourn our meeting, I look to Ms. Kiss or Mr. Jones if there's anything I am missing.
Not at this time. Thank you again, Chair Day, for your leadership of this board and all that you have done and will continue to do to champion the work of the CSU.
Thank you, and thank you all for your participation today. And please look forward for the notice of a special meeting. And with that, please stay safe and stay healthy.
Thanks, Adam.
You too.
Thank you.
Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. Bye, everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Steph.